In the Know, a radio program talking to the newsmakers in Ogle, Lee, DeKalb counties and beyond, keeping you in the know. Here's your host, Charles Van Horn.
Good morning. Happy Easter Sunday. I'm Charles. In studio joining us, Jessica Cash, Executive Director of Shining Star Children's Advocacy Center. Good morning.
Good morning, Charles.
Glad to have you here on this Easter Sunday. All month long, we're talking to various agencies that help deal with the plague of child abuse and abuse in general, and many local organizations help out, including Shining Star. Jessica, first off, what does Shining Star do for children?
Shining Star Children's Advocacy Center is a nonprofit organization that works with kids who've experienced abuse, trauma, witnessed violent crimes, or have had sibling deaths in their home. So we utilize a multidisciplinary approach to child abuse investigations. So we work alongside law enforcement, DCFS, prosecutors, and specialized medical providers to ensure each child gets a thorough investigation.
And really, when you talk about the critical link between you guys and law enforcement and the state's attorney's office, evidence has to be gathered, and testimony from children is crucial, right?
Correct. Yes. A lot of cases, the only evidence is the child's statement. So it's really important they have a safe place where they feel comfortable to talk about what they might have experienced. And we provide that at our center. Our center, from the minute you walk in the door, is all child friendly, colors, furniture, toys. They don't feel like they're in a police station or a hospital or somewhere that they may be uncomfortable. We provide professionals trained in talking to children on sensitive topics, who are trained in child development to know what each child's capable of talking about or not, and are also trained in trauma to know how the brain works with traumatic memories.
And that really is an important thing to think about. Anyone who goes through trauma is going to have a difficult time sometimes conveying what had occurred to them, whether you're an adult or a child. And for children especially so, it's very difficult to understand why these tough questions are being asked, especially about people they know in their home or around the family.
Correct. Yes. There's often a myth that the person abusing a child, that the child should be scared of them or not want to be around them. And in reality, there's probably a lot of good things that child likes about that person. There's probably fun things they do together. They just don't like the abuse that's happening. So sometimes people think, oh, that child should be scared of that person or not want to be around them. And in reality, that's not usually how that works.
You provide an environment there where the children can be asked those difficult questions that can obviously bring an end to their abuse or trauma. How many people do you have in Shining Star right now who are working with children?
We employ 4 full-time staff. So we have myself, the executive director. We have a forensic interviewer who is also our MDT coordinator. We have a family advocate, and we have a full-time counselor. And
other agencies come in while the interviews are going on, but they're not like around the kids, or do you guys just document the interviews and present them to law enforcement or other parties that are of interest?
Anytime a child is interviewed, we always have a law enforcement detective there, a prosecutor, and a DCFS investigator. They're watching the interview as it happens in a separate room, so it is all audio and video recorded, but they are there live when it's happening. Not in the room with the child, it's only our interviewer in there, but they're watching from a room in our center.
So it's not like the 1950s where there's the styrofoam coffee cup and ashtray full of cigarettes? That's not how...
Nope. We've even gotten away from the two-way mirrors, all of that. There's just a small little camera in the room. We do point it out to the kids because a lot of times they notice it. So we point it out right in the beginning that there's people that can see us and hear us. But no, it's not near like the 50s like it used to be.
And that's one of the things that you guys do. How has this helped not only get children out of abusive situations, but prosecute crimes? How valuable has Shining Star been?
So we work with the state's attorney's office in Ogle and Lee County. For children under the age of 13, their interview can be brought into court. So that statement of theirs is played so that they have a record at the time of their disclosure of what their disclosure was, and that can be played in any court proceedings. over 13, kids do testify in court. Under 13, they do as well. But we also help prepare kids if they have to testify. So we work with the victim advocates at both of those offices to help kids emotionally prepare for that testimony.
When did Shining Stars start in the area, and what was sort of the inspiration for a program like this to help out children who have gone through some horrific situations?
So Shining Star was started in 2002 by some professionals in the community working in this field that saw what kids were having to go through. So say they disclosed at school, they would be telling a teacher, then have to go tell a principal, would have to tell a DCFS investigator who came out, would have to talk to a law enforcement detective, would have to talk to a doctor, then a judge, attorneys, juries. Our process makes it so the child only has to tell their story one time. That forensic interview is the record of their statement. So any professionals that need to hear any of their disclosures or what they have to say can see it through that video. So the child isn't having to tell their story over and over.
Which can lead to all sorts of either inconsistencies or the way the questions are phrased, and children can get confused, things like that. And obviously you guys try to just keep it to the facts at hand, and you have people who are trained to make sure that children stay focused on presenting what they experienced, right?
Right. And we're trained in, it's called Child First Protocol that works with developmental stages with children. It's all non-leading, so we can't interject any ideas for the child. Not everyone's comfortable talking to kids, so some of those professionals having to interview kids wouldn't go well either because they're not comfortable with that. So this provides a place where they can get that interview done. We don't ever force a child to talk. If they get in the interview and they're just not ready to talk, we end the interview. We don't want it to be more trauma for that child and have to experience that.
Shining Star, you have a location, it's in Dixon, correct?
Our main location is in Dixon, so we do all of our forensic interviews there. We do counseling there, and then we also have an office in Oregon that is just for counseling. We started that in 2022 to better serve our Ogle County residents, so the travel distance and missing school and work wasn't so great. So we have our counselor travels to that office during the week as well.
Let's talk about a number that is something that we all wish was a lot smaller. How many children in interviews do you guys really handle a month for both counties?
So it fluctuates by month. You know, I wish we could predict how many kids were going to come and go through the month, but it really fluctuates. In 2024, fiscal year 24, we saw 189 new kids come through our center. That was for forensic interviews, and then some of those kids end up getting counseling through our center. We have a family advocate that works with every family that comes through on referrals, different services they may need, supporting them in court, providing whatever they may need. Since July 1st, so fiscal year 25, we've already seen 166 kids, so we're on track to go way over what we saw last year.
That's nearly one every workday.
Yes.
And those are cases in Lee and Ogle County. These aren't. Do you get cases from other areas that go to you guys for services outside of the counties, or is it really just Lee and Ogle?
Our service area is Lee and Ogle County, so we handle any type of abuse that occurred in those two counties. Occasionally, we will do courtesy interviews for other jurisdictions if the child lives in our area but something happened to them in a different area. That team of professionals can come to our center and we will do the interview so that families aren't having to travel so far. But that's, I would say, less than 10 cases a year.
Are there other organizations like yours in other counties? For instance, if you're in DeKalb County or LaSalle County or something, are there places that do what you guys do? Yes.
Illinois is fortunate that every county in Illinois is now covered by a child advocacy center. Some centers only serve one county, some serve multiple counties. But yes, now every county in Illinois is covered.
Since the program started, when did your involvement start?
I started at Shining Star in 2014.
What brings someone to do that job? Because this, again, I've said this before, bless you for what you do. The amount of stress of knowing that you are going to try to get a child out of a situation or get justice for a child who has been wronged. that pressure must be overwhelming for you and your staff and for the agencies statewide.
For sure, yeah. There are definitely heavy days, but there's also rewarding days, which kind of help carry us through those harder days.
Yeah.
I think it truly is a calling. All of our staff are very dedicated to helping kids. We don't make the decisions on whether kids stay in their home or whether there's charges.
Yeah.
We're just kind of that helping piece for those agencies that make that decision. And we're really there just to support the kids and the families. So we kind of get the not necessarily easier job of it, but the piece knowing that we are there to help them with all of our services.
Yeah, it's just got to be incredibly difficult for the staff some days when, I mean, every worst case scenario, I'm sure you guys have seen some variation thereof. We talked a bit about, schools sending people your way and law enforcement sending people your way. Where do most of these cases generate from? Is it law enforcement? Is it a school? Is it a teacher? Is it a nurse in an ER? Where does some of those start at?
So all of our referrals have to come from either law enforcement or DCFS as part of an open investigation. However, we do have a lot of people that call and say, I've got this situation, what do I do? So we help them in that reporting process because not every case is eligible for DCFS also. As far as statewide in Illinois, teachers are the number one reporters. Medical providers are the second highest reporters. We are fortunate in our two counties. We have school systems that really care about the kids. Many of the principals have our direct number to call us if they have questions, concerns, and we can help guide them through that. We really stress anybody that works with kids, whether you're a coach, a medical provider, teacher, anybody that would be working with kids really should get the knowledge on how to identify abuse and how to report that.
What are some of the simple signs of abuse, if we want to touch on that just for a second, of maybe you have a child that's a family friend or a relative and the child is acting a certain way? Are there like warning signs? Are there things that you may notice if something's happening traumatic to a child?
One common thing that most caregivers notice is changes in behavior in kids. Maybe kids that usually sleep really well are no longer sleeping well, or maybe kids that never acted out or then acting out. With no reason that they are doing that. Oftentimes kids with physical abuse will wear clothing, say in the summer, they're wearing long sleeves or pants to cover bruises, things like that. Kids that are mistrusting of law enforcement or different people are often told, we're not going to talk about this, we're not going to tell anybody. So signs that they may have fear of people that are typically there to help. Kids missing a lot of school, that can also be a sign if they're trying to hide things at home.
You have an event coming up on Friday, I believe, the Hands Around the Courthouse, right? That's going to be on Friday?
April 25th is our Hands Around the Courthouse. That's going to be held at the Ogle and Lee County Courthouse lawn. That starts at 12 o'clock. It usually lasts 20 to 30 minutes, so people can come on their lunch break. This will be the third year that we're doing that event. And we've got some great speakers this year. Lee County Assistant Prosecutor Bridget Schott will be there talking. She handles a lot of the juvenile abuse and neglect cases, criminal cases against child offenders. And then we also have DCFS Deputy Director of Child Protection, Dr. Aaron Perry. He'll be there talking about some new initiatives DCFS has coming out. And I will be there speaking about Shining Star. And this year we're going to be giving away a special award to one of our volunteers at our center.
And so Hands Around, have you always have enough people to get all the way around the courthouse?
We last year it was so windy, people were hiding from the wind, and we didn't put everybody through that. The podium was blowing over, pinwheels were flying everywhere, so we just kind of made it short and simple last year. The year before was our first year, so we had kind of a smaller crowd. But everybody just kind of gathered in groups. We didn't make everybody hold hands and go around. But we did have pinwheels all the way around the courthouse.
And that's good, the blue pinwheels. So if somebody wants to help out your organization, obviously fundraising and everything else, how does somebody get a hold of you guys? Either with questions about what you do, or maybe how to help a child, or better yet, fundraising. How do they get a hold of you guys and find out more?
Anyone can call our main number in Dixon, 815-284-1891. You can reach out to us on our website. There's a contact me form on there. There's also a lot of information about ways people can help. And they can also email me, jcash@shiningstarcac.org.
shiningstarcac.org. Executive Director Jessica Cash, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's In the Know. The program returns next week at this time with another great conversation with someone from your community.